And on top of this show, we're breaking the big news here. Well, the Prime Minister today has spoken with Russian President Vladimir Putin on a phone call in which both the leaders confirmed their commitment to deepen India-Russia ties just days after US President Donald Trump imposed 50% tariffs collectively on Indian goods over Russian oil and energy purchases. In fact, President Putin has briefed the Prime Minister about the latest developments that are concerning Ukraine. While thanking the President for his detailed assessment, the Prime Minister then reiterated India's consistent position for a peaceful resolution of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. The two leaders also reviewed progress in the bilateral agenda and reaffirmed their commitment to further deepen the special and privileged strategic partnership between India and Russia. In fact, to give us more details about that phone call that the Prime Minister had with Russian President Vladimir Putin, my colleague Samir is now joining in live. Samir, this call is pretty significant given the fact that we're not only seeing Ajit Doval in Russia. In fact, President Putin is also likely to be here in India by the end of this year. But this sends out a strong signal that India is not going to accept bullying and will not do any deals under pressure. Samir, can you hear us? All right, we'll try and connect once again with my colleague Samir, who's joining us, but it seems that there is a technical error because of which we're not able to connect to him. But ladies and gentlemen, the big story, the Prime Minister has spoken with Russian President Vladimir Putin on a phone call, and both the leaders have reaffirmed their commitment to deepen ties, deepen Russia-India ties. Remember, this is coming in at a very crucial time, just days after US President Donald Trump imposed 50% tariffs on Indian goods over Russian purchases. In fact, we're trying to get connected with Samir again to get us more details on that call and what else was discussed, and of course the big message, the big signal that it sends out to the United States given the time that it is coming. Samir, yes, what more are you learning about this phone call between Prime Minister Modi and President Putin?
Yes, definitely. Prime Minister of India has posted on X platform that Prime Minister had a telephonic conversation with the President of Russia, Vladimir Putin. They both discussed, and as per the official statement, it mentions that the President of Russia, they gave a kind of a briefing or the ongoing development related to Ukraine. So whatever the current situation is, that was apprised to Prime Minister of India in terms of Ukraine. In addition to this, both the leaders also discussed about the bilateral agenda, and both the leaders, they reaffirmed their position to further deepen the strategic and the special tie between the two nations. In addition to this, Prime Minister has also extended invitation to President Vladimir Putin to visit India later this year for the 23rd India and Russia annual summit. Now, this telephonic conversation is also being counted very important because it comes and it is being developed at a time when we have seen that American president, they have been strongly advocating that India should reduce its oil purchase from Russia, and also they have already announced to impose a 50% tariff on India, which includes sort of a penalty. The message which was being sent is that the higher tariff is being imposed because India is continuing its oil purchase from Russia. So amid all this development, this larger message that is being sent through this telephonic conversation, where on X, Prime Minister posted that yes, he had a telephonic conversation with the Russian president, and they both discussed not just the Ukraine part, but also reaffirmed their position to deepen the strategic and the special the ties that the two nations has. And now the invitation has been extended to President of Russia for visiting India later this year.
Definitely. Right. Absolutely, and we'll be looking forward to that visit. In fact, the optics are rather interesting because this is not the only conversation that the Prime Minister had with the President Putin, but yesterday a conversation with Brazil's President Lula da Silva also happened. And of course, on the other hand, we are hearing that the Chinese side has also supported India's stance as far as tariffs go. In fact, China for the longest time has maintained that unilateral bullying via tariffs is illegal. That cannot happen. So big big message that is going out there. The Prime Minister inviting President Putin to visit India later this year. This is happening even as NSA Ajit Doval is currently in Russia. He also had a meeting with President Putin and he confirmed that President Putin has been extended an invitation. We are given to understand that President Putin will be visiting India later this year. But ladies and gentlemen,